My daughter-in-law stood in the living room, her arms crossed, voice sharp and final. "Christmas at my mom's, you stay home." That sentence echoed in my mind for days. I just stood there, stunned, feeling my heart crack a little. Christmas had always been the one time of year that brought our family together, even when things were rough. I had already bought gifts, wrapped them neatly with care, and imagined the joy of watching my grandkids open them. But instead, I was being told to stay home, like some unwanted guest. I smiled weakly and said, "Of course, dear." But inside, I was breaking. I went to my room that night and cried quietly, wondering what I had done to deserve being pushed aside from my own family. Tell me honestly, would you have stayed home or done what I did next? Let me take you back a bit. My name is Margaret, I'm 64, and I lost my husband Tom 7 years ago. Since then, my only real joy has been my son, Daniel, and his family, his wife, Clara, and my 2 beautiful grandkids, Emily and Noah. Christmas had always been special in our family. When Tom was alive, we would go all out, cook for days, decorate every corner, and invite everyone we loved. Even after he passed, I made it my mission to keep that warmth alive. Every year, Daniel and Clara would come to my house for Christmas Eve, and we'd spend the night laughing, opening gifts, and remembering old times. But this year, things were different. Clara had changed lately. Ever since Daniel got a promotion at work, she'd started acting, how do I put it, more superior, more distant. Suddenly, everything had to be her way. The decorations, the food, even the way the kids celebrated. Last Thanksgiving, she told me not to interfere with how she was raising the kids, just because I brought Emily a second slice of pumpkin pie. I brushed it off as stress, but now I realize that was just the beginning. When December rolled around, I was so excited. I started baking early, like I always do. My house smelled like cinnamon and vanilla. I even set up the old wooden nativity Tom built before he died. It's been part of our Christmas since Daniel was a boy. I called him one evening to ask what time they'd be arriving on Christmas Eve. There was a pause. Then Daniel sighed and said, "Mom, about that." My stomach tightened immediately. He hesitated before continuing. "Clara really wants to spend Christmas with her parents this year. They've been asking for a while, and she feels like it's only fair." I tried to stay calm. "Oh, of course, honey. Maybe I can come too? I'd love to see everyone together." That's when I heard Clara's voice in the background, sharp and irritated, saying, "No, it's already crowded enough. She can just have us next year." And Daniel, my sweet, soft-hearted son, didn't say a word to defend me. He just muttered, "Sorry, Mom." That night, I stared at the lights twinkling outside my window and felt completely invisible. I had been there for Daniel through everything, his childhood scrapes, his heartbreaks, his successes, and now I was being treated like a burden. I wanted to scream, to tell Clara she had no right to take my son and my grandkids away from me on Christmas. But I didn't. I didn't want to cause drama or make Daniel choose sides. So I told him it was fine, but it wasn't fine. The days leading up to Christmas were unbearable. Every time I saw a family shopping together or kids talking about Santa, I felt a lump in my throat. On Christmas Eve, I sat by myself, surrounded by unopened presents and a half-eaten dinner for one. I kept checking my phone, hoping Daniel might call or send a picture. Nothing. That's when I saw it, a Facebook post from Clara's account. A picture of her family, all dressed in matching red sweaters, standing by a tall Christmas tree surrounded by gifts. My grandkids were smiling from ear to ear, sitting on Clara's mother's lap. And the caption? "So grateful for family this Christmas." I sat there frozen. Grateful for family, and yet I wasn't even considered part of it. Something in me snapped that night. I realized I was done being sidelined, done being polite while others walked over me. So I did something bold, something completely out of character for me. I booked a flight. Early the next morning, I packed a small suitcase, grabbed the gifts I'd wrapped, and headed for the airport. Clara's parents lived in another state, only a 2-hour flight away. My heart was pounding the whole time. I knew what I was doing might cause a scene, but I didn't care anymore. I deserved to see my family, even if it meant stepping into a house where I wasn't welcome. When I arrived, I took a deep breath before ringing the doorbell. I could hear laughter inside, music playing, the sound of kids running around. Clara opened the door and the color drained from her face. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. I smiled, pretending not to notice her shock. "Merry Christmas! I just couldn't spend today alone. I brought gifts for everyone." Before she could say anything, little Emily ran up to me, squealing, "Grandma!" She threw her tiny arms around my legs, and that one moment made everything worth it. Daniel appeared behind Clara, looking stunned but guilty. He didn't stop me from coming in, though. Clara's mother gave me a tight, forced smile, clearly uncomfortable, but I just ignored it. We sat down for breakfast, and though the tension was thick, I acted cheerful. I watched my grandkids open their presents and laugh, and for a little while, it almost felt normal again. But Clara couldn't stand it. She kept glaring at me across the table, muttering under her breath. Finally, she said loudly, "You know it's really rude to just show up uninvited, Margaret. We had plans." I looked her straight in the eyes and replied calmly, "Yes, Clara, I know. But sometimes family should matter more than plans." The room went silent. Daniel looked between us, clearly torn. "Mom, maybe you should have told us you were coming," he said softly. I nodded, acknowledging his point. "You're right, honey. But if I had, would I have been welcome?" He looked down, unable to answer. For the rest of the day, I tried to stay in good spirits for the kids' sake. But when evening came, I overheard Clara talking to her mother in the kitchen. She said, "She just can't let go, can she? Always playing the victim, making us look bad." That hurt more than I can describe. I had never tried to make anyone look bad. I just wanted to be part of my son's life. So that night, while everyone was asleep, I quietly packed my things and left a note. It said, "I didn't come to cause trouble. I just wanted one more Christmas with my family. I hope one day you understand." I left before sunrise and flew back home. When I got home, I expected to feel miserable, but oddly enough, I felt at peace. I had stood up for myself for once. I hadn't let anyone decide that I didn't matter. I made myself a cup of cocoa, turned on the lights on my tree, and sat by the fire. It wasn't the Christmas I imagined, but it was still Christmas. A few days later, Daniel called me. He sounded emotional. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much we'd hurt you. Emily keeps asking when she can see you again." I smiled through tears. "It's okay, sweetheart. I understand." Then he said something that truly melted my heart. "We're coming over this weekend. Clara and I talked, and we want to make things right." I was surprised but cautious. When they arrived, Clara was quiet at first. But then she approached me and said, "I'm sorry for how I acted. I was stressed and protective of my family, but I realize I was unfair to you." I didn't say anything at first. I just hugged her. That weekend turned into something beautiful. We cooked together, laughed, and the grandkids played in the snow outside. For the first time in a long while, my house felt full again, and as I watched them all sitting at the table, I realized something important. Sometimes you have to take a stand for your place in the family. If you let others push you aside, they'll forget how much you mean to them. So that's the situation I was in. I had to make a choice, to stay home and let my family forget me, or to fight for a place in their lives. Before I tell you how it all ended, I want you to pause and think, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have stayed home to avoid conflict, or shown up to remind them you still mattered? When Daniel and Clara left that Sunday evening, Emily hugged me tight and whispered, "Next Christmas, we'll come here, Grandma." I promise. That little promise meant everything to me. And true to her word, the following Christmas they did. Clara even helped me decorate the tree, and Daniel made Tom's old recipe for roast beef. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was ours. Now every year we take turns. One Christmas at their place, one at mine. Clara and I still have our differences, but there's respect now and understanding. Sometimes, I think it took that one bold move, showing up uninvited, for them to see how much I truly cared. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. Maybe it was unconventional, maybe even a little dramatic, but it reminded my family that love doesn't wait for an invitation. It shows up, even when it's inconvenient. If you were in my place, would you have done the same? Would you have shown up and risked the awkwardness or stayed home and suffered in silence? Like this video if you think I made the right choice, and if you believe family should never exclude anyone on the holidays. Subscribe for more stories like this, real, emotional, and sometimes messy, just like life. And tell me in the comments, what's the worst or best family holiday experience you've ever had? I'll see you all in the next story.